Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Patrice, and this is my embellished life. In today's episode, I do have a pattern review for you guys, and it is the Emily tie shoulder dress from At the Seam Pattern. So, if that's something you're interested in, let's get in it. You guys, it is currently raining here, and I do hope that you're able to hear me over all of the rain and the thunder and all of that jazz. But all in all, I do love the rain, don't you? And it is hot here, so I am so grateful for the showers of blessings that is currently happening right now. But let's get into this pattern review. Now, this pattern, like I've mentioned before, is the Emily tie shoulder dress. Let me see if I'm saying it correctly. Oh, I did. Yeah, me. It's the Emily tie shoulder dress by At the Seam Patterns. And this particular dress, I'll let you hear the shenanigans and the misadventures that happened with this dress. But what I can tell you is that I did start this dress over a month ago, and I finished this dress this morning. Today is what the dickens today is? Today is the 28th of June. I blame the heat. So today is the 28th of June. Yes, it is. And I started this dress over a month ago. Actually, it's more than a month ago because I think I started this dress before I started the Martha Wiss dress. You know, the dress that I wore in my last video. I haven't done a pattern review on it. I might just do one, but I haven't done one on it as yet. But I think I started this dress before that dress. I have some things to say about this pattern and this dress, and what I'm about to say is not my intentions to be mean or anything like that. It's just my thoughts. As I said, it's just my opinion. So it's not my intention to be mean, and I'm hoping that I don't come across as that way for this particular dress. But I can honestly say the outcome of this dress, I don't think I'm pleased with it. I don't think that I'm pleased with it at all. And I think this might be my first official failure for the year. I know that I've mentioned in previous videos for other dress that I think that dress would have been a failure. It's this dress. And I'm currently wearing the dress, and I'll pop some photos of it somewhere about. But I think the outcome wasn't what I expected at all for this dress. So I'm not too pleased, and I'm kind of pissed that I've used my good fabric for this dress and it didn't come out how I wanted it. I'm not too happy about that, but this is what happens when you're in the sewing games. Stuff like this happened. So this pattern, I got it off of Etsy, and it's a PDF pattern. Now, although I use a lot of commercial patterns, I'm a fan of the big four patterns, I do dabble in and out with the indie pattern makers, and I do have some beloved indie pattern companies that I do love. I do love me some Tilly and the Buttons and some Closet Core, and what's the next one do I like? I love Notions and Cashmerette. Those are my jams. But every now and again, I do go into, I should have said the belly of the beast. It's not the belly of the beast. I do go on the hunt to find, lesser known indie pattern makers, because there's a lot out there. There's actually a lot out there who might not have the same amount of exposure as the larger indie pattern companies. So every now and again, I do like to go on Etsy and see what's out there and, purchase a pattern or two. So this was actually one of the patterns that I bought because I do love the dress. The Emily tie shoulder dress, it's a fitted bodice with tie shoulder straps, and it's connected to a tiered dress. Very summery, perfect for the summer as the chickens are crowing. I don't understand what are wrong with these chickens. No concept of time at all. If you hear them, I do apologize, but this is what happens when you live in the Caribbean. You know, you have the chickens, they crow whenever they want. How rude. Anyway, I digress. So, like I said, that's the design of the Emily tie shoulder dress. Now, I was so happy when I saw this dress. And granted, I could have just, I do have similar patterns in my stash, and I know for a fact, if I don't, I could have hacked 2 patterns and put together, and that's McCall's, I think it's 7778 and Simplicity 9141. Sort of taking the Ted skirt region from the Simplicity 9141, and I think out of taking the top part from McCall's 7778 and mash them together to get the same exact outcome. So I know that, but sometimes I do love to dabble with the indie pattern makers, and I don't know, I think I just like the challenge of it. Even though I do have a love-hate relationship with them, because I can tell you right now, I do hate, I loathe putting together the pattern pieces and taping them together before I cut it out. I hate that part with a hash on. I don't think there's no one else out there who hates that process more than me. But anyway, so, but I do tend to use them every now and again, and like I said, I was so excited when I saw this pattern. So, I bought it, did all the preparation for it, and I was ready to put it together. Now, with this pattern, it ranges from an X small to a 5XL. So, you have from the XL to 5XL in one package, and then the smaller sizes in another package. So in that essence, it presents itself like a commercial packet, like a commercial pattern with that aspect. What I didn't like, the first thing that I didn't like with this pattern is that it did provide printing instructions and stuff like that, and how the layout of how the paper should be put together before you tape it and cut it. But one thing they missed, they failed to mention whether or not you had to trim the pieces or you just fit them together and you tape it down. So that was left to my discretion. And I just put the thing together and I prayed for the best. And I kept it moving. So I think that's one thing that is so important. You need to tell me whether or not I need to trim edges or whether or not it's a trimless pattern. I think that is so helpful. But anyway, we're moving on. So I got all of that figured out, and I prepared my fabric. And the fabric that I used, I think I showed this fabric in one of my earlier pattern hauls. I bought this fabric from, oh my goodness, what's the place? Fabric Wholesale Direct. And I bought 2 yards of it. Now, originally, when I bought this, fabric, it was earmarked for a circle dress or a circle skirt of some sort. But I said, I think this fabric would look good with this dress. So that is what I used it for. So I prepared everything and I got to sewing. I used the half seam allowance because I don't think as well that I saw the seam allowance anywhere on this pattern as well. So, but I know that I prefer using a half seam allowance. So that's what I did. I used a half seam allowance and I cut X large for this dress. Here's where I ran into another hiccup. The pattern is not, the instructions, I should say, the pattern instruction to sew up the pieces, they are not detailed. Very little instructions on what to do, which is kind of a bummer, because if you're a beginner and you are heavily relying on these instructions, oh my goodness, you're up a paddle you're up a quick without a paddle. So that is what I didn't like. Now, granted, in her instructions, she did provide a link that would take you to an area where there are other instructions should you need further guidance. So my mitty self, that's what we say when people are nosy or curious. We call them mitty. My mitty self went and clicked on the link, and a whole other set of instructions came up. And from what I've read, because I didn't read through the entire thing, what I've read is that these instructions were slightly better than the ones presented in the purchase package. And these instructions actually had illustrations to demonstrate what it is they were trying to say. And I was kind of upset because, I should say upset, I was peeved because I'm like, well, why didn't you just use these instructions and put it in the purchase package and just be done with it? Why do I have these mediocre instructions here in the purchase package, and then in a link that you're sending me to, there's another set of slightly better instructions for it? And that absolutely made no sense. I've already printed off these instructions. Why am I wasting trees to go now and print off these instructions again? I did not like it at all. Anyway, so what I ended up doing, to be honest, I didn't follow any instructions when putting the dress together, because the dress is an easy dress to put together. I'll admit that. But like I said, if you are a beginner and you're actually relying on these instructions, that is a no-no. That needs to be fixed. But for me, I didn't use the instructions, and I just went on my merry way, and I just put the pieces together for it. Here's where I ran into another problem. And I don't know what I was thinking, because I have made multiple dresses with this type of bodice before. I don't know what I was thinking. You know what? I blame it on the heat. The heat has to take one for the team here today, because I don't know what I was thinking. Now, the top part of the dress, the bodice part of the dress, you have the front bodice, and then you have the lining. So what was supposed to happen is that I was supposed to, after I've prepared and stitched the darts, I was supposed to attach the back part to the front part of the bodice. Yes, prepare the lining, the top lining. So I did the darts, and then I was supposed to attach the front and the back bodice together before I attach the lining to the bodice. I didn't do that. What the hell was I thinking? What I did is that each piece I was attaching the lining to. Okay, and then I stitched everything together. And while I'm stitching it, it still didn't dawn on me that this is not correct. Like I said, I don't know what I was thinking. When common sense decided to take pity on me and said, woman, you don't see the foolishness you are doing? When it decided to take pity on me and tell me that I was at the part where I was actually attaching the first tear to the dress. And I'm like, doing that. And I'm like, but I'm supposed to, in normal dresses, I'm supposed to, after I've attached, the bodice to the dress, you're usually supposed to then cover that part with the lining, and then you stitch in the ditch. But how in the world are you going to do that with this lining that you've already stitched? Then it was like, oh yeah, I did it wrong. We need to rip out this bugger. So that is what happened. And with that, I put the dress aside, and I'm like, okay, you need to go in a timeout. I'm not fooling with you today. So it ended up being in timeout for a while. I'm not even playing. It was in timeout for a while. And I actually moved on, did some quilting, make some jewelry. I'm actually messing with epoxy resin and stuff like that. So I'm doing all of that. And I've just put it in the corner. And every now and again, I watch it, and it looks at me, And I look at it again, and I'm like, I'm not fooling with you today. And I go on my merry way. And then, it came to the point now where it was like, okay, it's May. I need to make something. Should I fool around with this? And I'm like, nah. And I went to make the Martha's dress. All the while, I'm looking at the corner, giving it a side eye. So that's what I did. Anyway, so eventually I came back to this dress. And I like, okay. I took up my trusty seam ripper and I started to rip out everything. Pressed everything again. And I started from the top minus the darts. So I did it correctly this time, attach the fronts, the bodice, fronts and backs, and then attach the lining, fronts and back, and then attach the lining to the bodice. And I'm like, okay, now, this looks more like it. Now we're jamming. Let's go, Pat. We got it. And I'm like, yeah, we got it. Time to put in the straps now. And I'm like, whoops. I stitched over the place to insert the straps. And I'm like, So I needed to rip out the top region a bit in order to create a section to insert the straps. So I had to do some ripping out again. Something happened. Again. In the process of doing that, I ripped. There was a ripping that went on in the fabric. How did I manage to do this? Only God, Jesus, and the angels could tell you. I don't know. So you could imagine, after this happened, and I'm like, okay, I need to cut out the top part again. You know exactly what happened again. This dress, this bad boy went right back in the corner. Right back in the corner. I'm like, okay, I'm not fooling with you today. You think you're better than me? I'll show you who's better. I am better than you. You will sit right down there until you learn some sense. So it went back in the corner again. And every day I would look at it and it would look at me and I would look at it. I'm like, yes, you will stay there. And then, I said, okay, now. I went back to do some quilting, fooling around with quilting. And I'm like, okay, Pat, we are in June. What garments have you made in June? What are you going to tell your YouTube peoples? What are you going to tell them? You need to go and finish something to present to these people. So then I was like, okay, let me pull out one of the patterns that I discussed in my previous videos. And I'm like, Pat, come on, get yourself together. We are not accumulating whips. No. We need to figure this out. So I sat down and I cut the bodice front part over last night. This was last night we were talking now. So this has been in the corner for weeks, just sitting down there. So I did that and I put everything together last night. And now we are here. We are here. So that is what happened. Now, while sewing up this dress, I noticed some other things that really made me really disappointed in this pattern. And that is, I don't think the designer measured the panels for the skirt correctly before gathering, because I could barely put gathers in this dress in order for it to fit. And in that I mean that if I added a lot of gathers, it wouldn't have fit. So to me it was like, what's the point of telling me to put gathers in if I can't gather? So yeah, and then the bottom tier of the dress, it absolutely looks like it's just me attaching two things together and there's a seam. So I do think if I do use this pattern again, I definitely have to adjust those panels. Would I go through all of that trouble? I don't even think so, because I do have other patterns with those patterns that I could just actually adjust and do what I need to do with them. But that was kind of disappointing. The other problem that I ran into is that the lining for the bodice and the bodice is also two different sizes, because I did had trouble fitting the bodice together. I mean, the lining together with the bodice. The lining is actually smaller than the bodice, so I actually had to do some finagling in order to get that sorted. And you could say, Pat, did you really cut the correct size? Did you really? It sounds to me that you didn't cut the correct size in that. Don't come here and tell me foolishness but how the things are two different sizes. Did you cut the? Yes, I did, and I know that I did, because this particular PDF pattern, it comes in layers, so you can actually select the size that you want to print, and that is the only size that would be printed. So I do know that I cut the correct size. Thank you very much. So yeah, I did have some fitting issues with that. So in areas of the bodice, you could actually see there's excess fabric that I don't like. And to be honest, I don't think if I wear this out in public, I do know that I will have to wear maybe something over it, like one of my denim jackets, because you would actually see those mistakes or those unpleasant, let's say that unpleasantness in the bodice region, and I think I'll be a bit self-conscious about that. So yeah, so that's where my disappointment lies in this dress. If I have to use this particular pattern again, I do know that I will have to use some major adjustments. And would I really want to sit down and do that? No, not when I could sit down and put together McCall 7778 and Simplicity 9141 and mesh them together and see what I produce. So I think that's what I'll do, because I do love the summery look of this dress. But I don't think I'll use this pattern again. Like I said, I'll mesh those other two together and see what my outcome is for this dress. So, all in all, what is my overall rating for this pattern? To be honest, pattern-wise, because of the lack of detail in the instructions, and with all of those with the mishaps that I had and all of that, some of them my fault, some of them due to the pattern, I do think I'll give this pattern a 3. I absolutely will. I'll give this pattern a 3. Now, that is not to discourage anyone from using it. Actually, I want you to go and use the pattern and then come tell me whether or not everything was just all in my head, it was just my fault, or you agree with me. I want you to use this pattern and tell me what the case is. So yeah, but I will definitely give it a 3. And like I said, you guys could tell me what it is you think about it if you decide to choose it, or if you have any other alternatives for similar dresses like this, whether it's commercial or indie pattern. Drop it in the comments below and let me know, because I really do want to make some more of these dresses. I think that's where my interest is at the moment. So let me know. All right, lovies, that is all that I have today concerning the Emily Taishova dress by At The Seams Patterns. I hope that you enjoyed this pattern review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also join me on Instagram to see whatever shenanigans I'm up to at that current moment. I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Think lovely thoughts. Keep on smiling, and always make beautiful and wonderful things. All right, lovies. I'm out of here. Bye.